I wish this story was more or less made up, but it's not. The Kansas State High School Activities Association is declining to answer questions about a form asking for the sex at birth of high school athletes. Dave Trabert, Kansas Policy Institute, is here. It is the lead story on the Sentinel website. He's joining us on KCMO. Dave, I know it's not satire. I wish it were. What is going on here?
Well, good morning, Pete. No, I join you in that dismay. It's the form, and thank goodness there are citizens out there who are sharing this information with media. The form says there's an asterisk on sex at birth, and the explanation, it says, in cases of disorder of sexual development, designation of sex at birth may be delayed for a period of time until medical providers and family can make the appropriate determination. I'm not a doctor, but my goodness, sex at birth is not complicated. It is, they say it's a boy, it's a girl, as soon as the baby is born. It's why in the world would an activities association group try to inject itself into this? It makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. And I know you're a little more removed from having kids than I am, but having had 3 in the last 6 years, I can tell you they know right away what's going on, as do the doctors and the nurses. So this Kansas State High School Activities Association form that you guys have brought to the forefront, is this illegal?
Well, I'm a recovering accountant, so I can't say whether that's illegal or not. It may not be illegal because what it amounts to is a political viewpoint that's being expressed on here. You don't have to agree to this in order to play. I mean, it's just, what's the point? I mean, and it's just like this is an adjunct of the education issue that, education used to be about teaching kids how to read and write. Now, that's just kind of a side thought where education has become a combination of an adult employment system and a political indoctrination system.
Yeah. So who oversees this Kansas State High School Activities Association?
Well, it's a board of directors. It includes people like principals. I don't know how they're nominated, but there are principals, there are superintendents. There's a representative from the State Board of Education, Jim Porter. There's someone appointed, Delvin Strickler is a governor's appointee from Salina. These are mostly people working in education, and they make the rules.
Wow. So these are, okay. So now, I mean, this is something where you look at it and you say to yourself, will people abuse the system? Will we end up, despite what state law says, in a situation where you have young women in the state who are going to have to compete against somebody who is basically abusing this Kansas State High School Activities Association physical evaluation form? Is there anything on that front that you've been able to find out just yet?
No, but there's certainly the potential for it. I mean, it's kind of saying you get to decide. It's not sex at birth that the doctor said or the hospital said. It's what you maybe decided later as a parent. And that's what goes into the record. And then that's the basis on which you can play sports. We have a state law. The Fairness in Women's Sports Law says that girls and boys can only play the sports of their sex at birth. There must be separate facilities for boys and girls based on their sex at birth. Is this trying to get an end run around it?
Yeah, that's what I wonder as well. I mean, and then you end up with a situation where technically that person would be violating state law. And I would argue you would have the Kansas State High School Activities Association as being complicit in a situation like that based on how their form is set up. Dave, would you agree with that assessment?
I think that's a very good argument, Pete.
Wow. So is there anything the state legislature can do about this form? Or, I mean, obviously they're at a session, but is there anything they should do in your estimation going forward?
Yeah, I mean, in the big picture, they're just going. We need massive change. Education is no longer about teaching kids how to read and write. That has gone. That's been gone for a long time. We have a Department of Education that's absolutely rogue, and the State Board of Education allows it to run rogue. This is an agency that will not require districts to follow state law to spend money on kids who are academically at risk of failing. The law says spend this money to help these kids who are academically at risk, and the districts are saying, I don't want to do that. 2 audits have proven that. The Department of Education knows it. The state school board knows it. They will take no action. This has been going on since at least 2019. They won't make them follow the building needs assessment law. They will not admit that there's roughly 150,000 kids in Kansas who cannot read at grade level. They want to pretend, honest to goodness, I mean, this is like right out of The Onion, that you can't say that any kids are below grade level in Kansas because the state assessment test only measures grade level performance. So we say, all right then, are you saying all the kids are at grade level? And they won't answer that question. They refuse to do anything to get kids educated. It's okay if it happens, that's fine, but not if we have to change our political viewpoints of what we want done.
Mm-hmm.
We've got another story coming.
I was going to say, I want to tee you up on this, Dave Trabert, with the Kansas Policy Institute. Tell me what's going on with the Department of Education and what you're learning there.
This is arguably worse than what the Athletics or the Activities Association is doing. The Department of Education annually sends out contracts. It's part of the procedure. You're going to get federal funding. You agree to the terms. They changed the anti-discrimination clause this year to say they want districts to sign the document saying they will not discriminate against anyone on the basis of gender or gender identity, in addition to sex, religion, race, and all the things that actually are covered by discrimination laws. Courts have said gender and gender identity are not covered by Title VI of the U.S. Civil Rights Act. And yet here we have the Kansas Department of Education trying to slide this past, getting school districts to sign. They say, if you don't sign this, you're not going to get your federal lunch money. Well, I mean, this is just mind-boggling. You have the U.S. Department of Ed saying, states, you have to sign certification that you won't violate U.S. civil rights. And the Kansas Department of Education and the state board couldn't figure out what to do. They just dithered and, oh my goodness, how do we do this? How do we say that we won't violate the law? And then they turn around and say, yeah, we want you to kind of certify that you will violate the law.
That's exactly what's going on here.
I mean, this is, and you have state school board members sitting there watching this happen, and they're afraid to speak up.
They know it's illegal, but they don't care.
It just comes right down to it. Once you're elected to an office, the number one thing that matters is staying elected to that office, and everything else is kind of a distant thought. This is atrocious what elected officials in Kansas are allowing to happen time after time after time.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dave, I am looking forward to more reporting on that story from you guys at the Sentinel, and we'll be following, and we will talk to you next week, my man.
Yeah, it's coming up today or tomorrow. We wanted to give them a little extra time to respond just in case they were out of the office for holidays. But so far, again, nobody wants to talk.
Well, that's fair reporting. Fair reporting by you guys. Thank you, Dave. I always appreciate it.
Take care, Pete.
There you go. Dave Trabert with the Kansas Policy Institute. Great stuff. I mean, you're learning things from them that certainly Kansas City Star is not going to be writing about this. The Kansas State High School Activities Association physical evaluation form asking you about your sex at birth. Not your sex at birth. Unbelievable.